ha 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 ha. I fooled you. We're not going to talk about Allods or Karos at all. It's time for another exciting episode of Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction. Alright, everybody out there in the Craft Chest Nation, check this out. I know it's been a long time since we've actually shown a Diablo 2 build, and I decided why not just jump straight into it instead of beating around the bush and getting frustrated with all the same old and the MMOs out there, and come back to the ever classic Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction. And as you'll notice, the music is turned off here, and that's because I want to go ahead and make this short, sweet, to the point for some peoples out there that were actually asking for me to go back over my Lifer Wind Druid. Well, this one right here is not actually mine. This one belongs to the gods of games, the goddess of all D2, Kitty, and she has put in a lot of planning and a lot of work on this character, and I'm sure she'll put her input into this if I screw something up. So first of all, I want to go over the skill points that you will have, and I'm not going to take the gear off just yet because I want you to see the entire all the points stacked up, all your skill or charms and all that, and I'm not going to be dropping all that just in case Battle.net decides to be gay and crash out on us. I'll show you that rule very briefly here in a moment for the stat points, which are very, very impressive. Now, first of all, over here on the Elemental, you'll notice one point right up here, and that was a mistake. Just don't pay attention to that. That was the one boo-boo that she made on this character, and I guess it's allowed even for a perfect builder such as the Goddess of all D2. And Firestorm actually is not supposed to have any points. That's supposed to be grayed out. So let's come over here to the important parts. Of course, you got to have 1 point in Arctic Blast to get down to Cyclone Armor, then down to Twister, then down to Tornado, then down to Hurricane. Now, Tornado is the main attack. So you'll notice it's got 48 points and the rest of them have 45. Now that's because each one of them gain bonuses from the other. Tornado is the main attack. Of course you're going to use Hurricane for your perimeter attack and defense. And your Cyclone Armor, of course, you'll use that for your own interpersonal perimeter defense and what have you. Alright, so all of these are maxed out. On the next one with the shape-shifting, there's no points in that because this is a Windy Lifer Druid, or just a Windy Druid. And under Summoning, Oak Sage is being worked on to be maxed out, and 1 point all the way down to Grizzly, which that is going to be your meat shield to keep all the bad guys or give them something to fight and attack instead of you, and that'll help you out between the Merc and the Pet. Will help you out tremendously. Alright, so that's basically it as far as the skills go on this guy. Now over here on the actual stat points, I'm going to show you this briefly, 166, 81, 539, and 56. Now, let me do this right quick. I'm going to drop this gear, and then we'll go back over it slowly in just a moment. And I'm going to have to drop that, and this, and some of this over here, and this. Alright, now let's have a look at the actual stat points. This is your base stat points, and this is where the skill and the planning came in. I don't care what anybody says. You have to actually know what character you're going to build to be able to do this. 39 to strength, which basically is nothing. 20 to dex.
Almost base strength.
Almost
and
base.
And
it is base dex, which is 20. Everything else went into life, which is 481. Very, very impressive on those stat points. All right. So, and you notice everything down here is in a negative right now. This is a hell game. So let's see what happens whenever I pick everything back up. I had to pick this up and that and that and that. Make sure everything got on here, and it did, and everything actually went back into place, except for the shield. There's a shield back on. Alright. Oh, and I should have showed you the base life too. The light, well, that wouldn't matter anyway because all the charms, I'm not dropping all the charms. So anyway, let's have another look at the stat points. 166, so that jumped up from 39 to 166 strength with all the gear. Dexterity went from a base of 20 up to 81, and then the life or the vitality went up to 539, and as usual, we don't really worry about mana all that much, so that's very impressive. Now the base life on this one without a bow or an oak sage is 1952, and that's very good. And where that comes from are all of these Skiller Lifer GCs. And as you'll notice, there's a 40, 43, a 40, a 42, a 44, a 44, and then lastly you have an elemental faster hit recovery Grand Charm, and that took a lot. What was your words on it?
A lot of time and trading.
Yep. And if you'll notice on the small charms, all of these except for these two on the end are 18 to life, 5 all resist small charms, and that also probably took
a lot of time and trading.
Right. And then you have an 18 life cold and a 11 fire resist magic find, which
is there for the 11 fire resist.
Don't you dare touch that mouse unless it's to go to part 2. And in part 2, we'll continue on with this exciting build, and then finally we'll revisit the martial arts assassin, because a lot of people out there can't seem to find that video, and a couple of them got deleted for, copyright. Stay tuned. Part 2.